Hey everyone, dannphan29 here. Here we go. There we go. Now I'm whole again. I shouldn't be wearing this at all. It's summer and I'm going to die. And today we are going to be talking about top pet peeves in comic books. Stuff that drives me insane when I'm reading a new comic book, and stuff if you're a comic book writer you should probably avoid. These are not in any particular order and this video is not scripted. So let's get into this. Lazy art. Not bad art, lazy art. Yes, there is a difference. Now when Juan is making his webcomic, he's like doing it on old school Windows Paint with a mouse. You can tell that he's still trying to make it good. He's not the best artist, he doesn't have the best equipment, but he's still trying to make it a legible picture. Back when I was writing old school street levelers and doing all the work on the laptop mouse pad, I was still trying to make it look good. I was using the line tool to make the lines at least even when I made them. It didn't look that great, but you can tell I was trying. This is not trying. This is not trying. This is not trying hard enough. I think people will get a little bit bored of drawing every once in a while, and at some point it just becomes work to them. So they just want to get it over with as quickly as possible and then move on to the next thing. So they make very, very quick sketches. They don't go over them and they just send them out. It's not like there's going to be an art editor that's just going to fix all the problems for them. They're just going to keep it as it is. You don't really think that the readers can tell that you're not trying, that you're not putting 100% into your art. But we can. We can tell. I can tell when I look at an art piece that they didn't put 110% in that. When you look at art that people really tried hard on and spent a good amount of time on versus something that a person sketched up really quick, there's very noticeable differences. So don't hire an artist that's not going to put 110% into this. And if you're an artist and you find yourself slacking every now and then, you gotta do something to motivate yourself again. You gotta do something to get yourself pumped up. Blast some music in the background, put a funny TV show on, do what you gotta do to get yourself in that positive mindset so that you are making your art look great and not lazy. Comics are a visual medium. If I can't see what I'm supposed to be looking at, if I can't tell what this dot is supposed to be, then I'm going to be missing out on essentially half of the book. I'm missing out on half of what I paid for. Half is the dialogue and the story, half is going to be the art. And as long as we're on dialogue and story, some of you probably saw that review that I posted yesterday of Lady Mechanica. I kept on saying Mechana. Yes, I know I'm saying her name wrong. It just rolls off the tongue better, okay? One of the problems with that comic is that it's super dialogue-y, to the point where word balloon bubbles are taking up half of the page, almost more than half, and the text is really small because they're squeezing it to fit into the little bubbles. Now that's ridiculous. It's still not as bad as Hunter x Hunter though, because Hunter x Hunter yes, I get it. Dialogue is important. Understanding a character, how a character speaks, understanding important plot details to the story that you wouldn't be able to understand by just looking at it. Yes, that's all very important, but you're gonna have to edit that down. You're gonna have to weed whack those word balloons, baby, because pages like this are intimidating. People are not opening up a comic book thinking this is going to be an intense read. People open up a comic book and they think it's going to be light reading. It's going to be easier than reading a novel. Never pack a comic book with too much dialogue, because one, you're going to bore the reader or intimidate them, like I said before, because they're not looking for an intense read. Two, if you want to write a novel, just write a novel. You can take the art out and have fun with it. Three, you're kind of taking the art for granted. If you have art within a book, imagine how much of the story you can tell with just the art. You think about, silent movies. They basically do the whole entire movie without saying a word. So imagine how much you can tell with just the art. You should use the art. That's why it's there. Use the art to tell the rest of the story that you don't want to have to explain through dialogue. It's like if I was watching a movie, I wouldn't want the whole entire movie just be a black screen and text that fades in and out telling me the story. And beside being too much dialogue and too much explaining, there's one particular thing about that dialogue and explaining that really drives me nuts. Filler. Some people like filler. Some people also like pouring hot wax on them. I don't get it. Filler can exist in all kinds of shapes and forms. Filler can be in the dialogue. Filler can be in the story. There can be entire story arcs that are just filler. And the idea of filler is to extend, make the story longer, waste your fucking time. Some people might argue that filler is good for establishing characters and giving them more room to be themselves, have fun. You know, anime always has those fucking beach episodes. Now, I would argue that if something is in fact adding to the story or adding to the character, then it's not filler. I think filler is characterized by something that's adding absolutely nothing to the story or characters. It's just, like I said, wasting your time. But sometimes when you're reading a story, you want to read that story. You don't want to go off in a tangent to this area over here. No, you want to stay right here. And of course then you have filler in the dialogue, which I always just say, you know, words like literally. You know how sometimes people will write the dialogue and they add so many filler words in there that it sounds like a teenage girl is talking or something. I literally just cleaned that like a few minutes ago. Like, really? Stop saying literally. Stop saying like. Just tell me. Tell me how you feel. And as long as we're talking about filler, that leads me right into my next complaint. Lack of focus. Now, I understand that when a story is very deep, very extensive, there can be a lot of different things to focus on. But when you're reading a book, you need to transition well. You can't bounce from one topic to another, to another, to another. One of the things that I don't like when I'm reading One Piece is in some chapters, they hit like, they just bounce everywhere. They bounce everywhere around the country to each particular group of characters. And I just feel like, hey, why don't you focus on like 2 groups of characters for one chapter, and then the next chapter you can focus on another 2 groups of characters. But no, they just bounce everywhere. You get like an update of what's going on with each and every character, and at some point it doesn't really feel like a chapter anymore. And to some degree, I get it. You want the reader to know as much as possible because you know that they're going to be asking questions while they're reading. But tell the story. Basic focus, basic transition to a new focus. None of this manic jumping around type nonsense. But something that annoys me the most about focus is when somebody will be starting off, the first few pages are about this particular thing, right? And then it's like the writer forgets about that thing and you never get back to it. You start off on one topic, go to the next topic, and then that one topic just kind of dies and they completely forget about that first topic. Just focus. And the last thing that I'm sure all of you will agree with me on, especially in 2019. Get that social justice out of there. Get it out of here. I don't want to be preached to when I'm reading a comic book. And the fact is, if you have to bend reality in your comic universe just to make you feel better about who you voted for, you need therapy. And I'm sorry, but I, as your reader, am not your therapist. I'm picking up your book to be entertained. Something about politics inspires you, maybe to write an actual good story, then that's one thing. But if you're just right on the nose, projecting your politics out on this comic book so that anyone who feels any way differently is like the villain. Whew, you are alienating people you should not be alienating. Like I said before, most people are not picking up comic books to think about politics. In fact, they're picking up comic books to escape from politics, to relax, sit back, and just read. Now, if you personally feel uncomfortable with yourself and uncomfortable with your politics to the point where you feel as though you need to talk about it, like I said, therapy. If you have the option to put politics into your story, but you know that it'll make the story suffer, get it out of there. And people always start talking to me like, oh, everything's political, dannphan. No, it's not. There's a difference between your interpretation of politics being in something and something being made to actually have politics in it. But my point is, if it doesn't need to be political, don't make it political. Now more than ever, people are very, very sick of the politics. But these are just a few things that kind of tick me off when I'm reading new comics. Very basic mistakes that I feel like a lot of people make. But what kind of problems do you have when you're reading comics? Anything that I might have missed or that I may have not seen in comics that really ticks some people off? Let me know down below in the comments section, and as usual, remember to like the video and subscribe, because I make other videos besides this. And of course, thank you guys for watching. I'll be here all week.